I live in Sydney, Australia. This happened when I was 15, home alone. It was about 9 p.m., and I was just coming out of the bathroom when I heard my front gate swing open, and my dog began barking. Across the hall, I saw someone run past the porch window and into the backyard. I was able to vaguely make out what he looked like. He was hunched over, had sickly pale skin, was wearing all black, and had long, messy black hair partially covering his face. I went into the living room to see what was going on. My dog was still at the front door, growling. Since I hadn't seen the guy return, this meant he was still somewhere in my backyard. I waited at the door for a while when another, more normal-looking guy walked down to the porch and came right up to the security bars. I don't remember all the details, but our conversation went something along the lines of him saying, "Hey, have you seen my friend?" I replied, "Yeah, I think he's in my backyard." He replied saying, "Okay, because I've been following this random guy all over the place. I think he's on drugs and might be dangerous." This struck me as weird. Though, what did he mean by this random guy when he had just called him his friend? He quickly walked away, going off into the darkness toward my yard. I should also mention that there's a door around back, but that also has security bars in front of it, and the door was locked at the time. I waited at the front door for a bit, then sat back down. About 2 minutes of waiting, the guy I spoke with walked back onto the porch and looked in through the security bars. He now had the pale, potentially drugged-out guy with him, who was pacing back and forth in an agitated manner. I went to the door to see what he wanted. He said, "Hey, sorry man, I just found him. Look, he's really nervous. And he'd like if you unlocked the door and came out here just so he could see that you're harmless." I felt the pain in my chest. The creepy, drugged-out guy had stopped pacing now and was standing unnaturally still, staring me dead in the eyes. There was an uncomfortable silence. I didn't say anything but stepped forward to push the French door shut, causing the second guy to lunge at me and shove his hand through the bars toward me. I jumped back and slammed the door shut with my foot, bolting it. I called my parents, and they called the police. The 2 men had gone when the police arrived. They told me about a break-in that had occurred just down the street less than an hour ago. As far as I know, they never found the 2 guys. Looking back, it's likely that the first guy ran into the backyard to try to find a way in, and the second guy went to help him, which is why they were back there for so long. What disturbs me is the fact that they didn't want to just break in, nor did the fact that I was home to deter them. They wanted me to come outside to them, or to get into where I was. It was a Thursday night. My mom was working a late shift at the hospital. My 2 brothers were away at college, so for the time being, I had the house to myself. I had a couple of friends over. We watched a baseball game, had a few beers, and they left through the back door. I went upstairs to the kitchen to put the remainder of the beers in the fridge and get ready for bed. I went to bed shortly after, and after a while of laying down trying to actually fall asleep, I heard light footsteps coming up the stairs outside my room. My mom was home. I heard her cough as she passed my bedroom door and entered the bathroom. Then she went back downstairs to the kitchen and started making a lot of racket with the cabinets and dishes and whatnot. I was way too lazy to get out of bed to go down there and ask her to keep it down, so I just texted her instead to stop making so much noise. I put my phone back on my desk and flipped on my side to try to get comfortable. Then I heard footsteps coming back upstairs quickly. My bedroom door opened and my mom stepped into my room. The hallway light outside my room wasn't on, so I couldn't make eye contact with my mom. But when I looked up, I saw my mom's figure. She stood by the doorway, looking kind of slouched over. I told her to stop making so much damn noise in a rather annoyed tone. When she didn't respond, I sat up and said, "Mom?" A vibration on my desk let me know I got a text, and given that it was pretty late, I naturally checked my phone to see who it was. It was from my mom. She said, "I'm still at work." I dropped my phone onto my bed as I looked up at the doorway. That person standing at my doorway wasn't my mom. Even though I was panicking, I had to think on my feet. I said, "Mom, I need to get to sleep. Get out." I said this because I wanted to play dumb, act like I had no suspicion that someone had broken in. The person at my doorway didn't move, so I picked up my phone and texted my mom in a panic saying, "There's someone in the house. I mistook them for you. Call the police right now." My mom replied back, "Okay," in a matter of seconds. Something then broke the silence in the room. The voice of a woman, crackly and rough. She started saying something. It sounded to me like she was saying, "Don't know where to go," over and over. Her voice started getting louder as I realized she was approaching my bed. I screamed, "Get back," as I fumbled for the lamp switch next to my bed. As the light turned on, I was faced with some old woman with white, wiry hair, her wrinkled hands reaching out at me, approaching my bed, repeating, "Don't know where to go." I screamed, "Get away from me," as it seemed as though she was about to attack me. I jumped off the bed and ran out of the room, holding my door shut. Seconds later, I felt her trying to push the door open as I put all my weight up against it to keep it shut. She started screaming, "I need to get out," and started banging on the door. I held this position for the longest time, and she was relentless. My mom kept calling my phone, but I couldn't pick it up. It wasn't until the cops arrived and knocked on the front door that I let go of the bedroom door and ran to them. The old woman immediately came rushing after me, but as I opened the door and yelled at the cops to stop her, they immediately pinned her against the wall. She was in cuffs and put in the police car. I told them everything that happened, and they said, based on how she was behaving and what I told them, she would need to be identified and evaluated to determine if she was mentally ill. It later turned out she was, to no surprise. I found out later that night after the cops left that, after my friends left through the back door, I forgot to lock it. That was how she managed to simply walk into my house. It's definitely scarred me mentally in the sense that anytime I hear something in my room while sleeping, I have to look up and make sure somebody isn't standing on the other side.